Welcome. This morning we have another interview with one of our 2021 World competitors, and thanks for the great throw there, myself in the future. This morning I'm joined by Karnage, aka Morgan, and Morgan won the most recent Open we ran, the Expedition Open, and this morning we're going to be talking to them about that tournament, their experiences in Eternal, how they got so darn good at the game, and what we can expect to see from them in the future. But let's get things kicked off by, first of all, introducing Morgan and giving them a chance to tell the people at home anything that you'd like them to know about yourself, like who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Hey guys, I'm Karnage. I'm from Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, and I obviously play a lot of Eternal. I played Eternal, and it was the first card game that actually felt like it was similar to Magic, but there's things I like about Eternal more than I like about Magic.
As far as your introduction to Eternal, do you remember the first card you saw, or maybe a card you saw early on that jumped out to you that really caught your attention?
Channel of Tempest, I'm gonna go with. I don't know. I've in Magic, I've always played like heavy control decks with some kind of crazy win con. What's better than having a win con that draws your cards?
No doubt, no doubt. Let's jump in and get to the juicy part. In the Expedition Open, what deck did you bring?
I brought Ixten. It was basically, in my opinion, the best cards put into one deck.
Yeah, and there was definitely a big sort of tandem aggro theme going on, as there were with many of the decks this past weekend. And you say you were playing with the best cards, but if we looked at some of the cards in your deck, I don't know that it would have jumped out to maybe everybody that if I'm playing 3 factions, that means, ooh, I get to play with Gleaming Grenadin, for instance.
Yeah, he's just in there to ensure you get your tandem attacks and early 1-drops.
So let's talk about your preparation for this event. So what was it like for you getting ready for this event, and what drew you to this deck list, and how did this deck list all come together?
Okay, so this is a funny story actually. Ever since Eternal started, I've been playing competitively. Been practicing like every day with deck lists, learning the meta with teammates, and just jamming games. But for this Open, I took a break from Eternal for the last 2 months, and I've been playing Apex Legends competitively, and I'm on a team Invoke Lethal. And I came back and I said, well, I want to play an Open, and Apple Chips sent me is actually credit to Apple Chips and the Overmaster for actually putting this deck together. It's their deck. I can't take any credit from the list, but I told Apple Chips, give me a deck, man. I trust you. Let's jam a few games. I'm gonna run it in the tournament, and I guess it worked out.
It certainly did, as you had quite an impressive one. Mm-hmm. I would say this 3-faction approach was not necessarily the most popular way to play aggro in the format. What advantages did you think you got besides just sort of, well, I got to play with all the good cards that you got from this specific 3-faction?
So the other strong aggressive deck in the format was just really Horu Soldiers. Adding the fire, I mean, you get the Houndmaster, you get Short Hopper. He actually won me 2 or 3 games. He's just a couple tools that just puts the Horu faction over the top.
Which cards would you say were your MVPs? Were there any cards that maybe people might overlook, they don't typically play with, that were standouts for you?
The all-star card in the deck, honestly, for me, is going to be League Explorer, 2-drop. There's so many games I had exact lethal just because I drew 1 or 2 of him, and if it wasn't for his depth charges going off, I wouldn't have won a lot of those games.
Very nice, and I like that you've got a couple of discard effects here. It certainly seems like that would help you manage making sure you can get all of the cards out of your hand in time before maybe they win on the way back.
Yeah, exactly, and especially getting rid of the Iron Priestess, getting those weapons. I mean, just like sometimes it just allows you to buff up your unit and attack. A lot of the times you don't want to attack with David because you just don't want him to die. But you put a weapon on him, you know, he can attack safely.
Yeah, when I was doing commentary with Patrick Sullivan the other day, Iron Priestess was a card that really jumped out. I believe it was in one of your matches against Fallon. It was just, I think you got like an Iron Priestess that got buffed by Valise and then buffed by Valor. And next thing you had a 2-cost +4/+4 weapon. And it was just ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, it gets out of hand.
As far as the actual tournament itself, so you mentioned you worked with the team and they really helped you find this list. How did your qualifying games go? Was it smooth sailing getting into the top 64? Were there some close shaves along the way?
Well, like I said, I went into this tournament. I didn't take it too serious because, like I said, I took a couple months off Eternal, and I just wanted to come back and, you know, not stress this one. But I played my first 10 games and went 10-0, and I'm like, this is going well. End up getting a few losses and ended up with a 28 record. So yeah, so then then a lot of my teammates helped me test that. When we got the open deck list, my teammate Phoenix actually helped me play the exact matchup for my round one opponent.
That sounds super helpful. What were the kinds of interactions or things and tips that you discovered from doing a little bit of focused playtesting?
So playtesting went terrible. We done about 30 games. I was facing a Time Justice Primal variant of soldiers, I guess. And a lot of my cards, I mean, I play 4 copies of Manacle, 4 copies of Permafrost, and he was playing 4 copies of Lay Siege, which literally it destroys my deck. And I forget the name of the card. She's a 3-cast Aegis when she hits it. Tarius, yeah, that's her. She was a really big problem for my deck as well. But yeah, we had 30 games. I literally won 4 games out of 30 in playtesting. And I said later that night, I said to the rest of the team, I said, I looked at all the top 64 deck lists, obviously, and I said to the team, I said, if I can actually manage to get past this round 1, I said, I'm going to win. I got a feeling I'm going to win.
Not bad.
Because the rest of the deck lists, I just felt like they were kind of slow versus the list I brought.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like when we saw you playing against some of the shadow mid-range decks, which there were a good amount of, that it was just, they could just not get a handle on you, whether it was with charge or stuns or ways to buff your units. They just couldn't stop you from continuing to attack. Yeah,
well, like from my team scouting out the meta, we found that there was a lot of film mid-range / control, a lot of Xenon mid-range, and a lot of Argenport mid-range. So it's basically all shadow piles with some, you know, splashes. And yeah, that deck just seemed to destroy most of the shadow lists. So that's why Apple Chip suggested I bring it.
Well, it was a great choice for the weekend, and you were obviously rewarded with a first place finish. So great stuff there. As far as the top 64 goes, once you got past that first round, were there any close matches, or was there a match that stands out to you? Was like, this was the sort of the match of the tournament for me?
God, there was me and Kalapovich had a really good series. I finished them. I top decked. It was game 3, and I actually top decked a short hopper for the Icy Gaze, and got me over the top, which was really lucky.
Pretty nice, yeah. And he's obviously a fierce opponent, so
yeah,
pretty good spot to make sure you get your good top deck in that moment of the tournament. So let's talk about yourself and the game, and sort of some of the things that you really enjoy. So first of all, what's your favorite format to play if it's just, you know, there's no tournament coming up and you just want to chill and have a good time?
Usually I like, you know, card games like Magic included. I really like limited formats. I like draft, and my all-time favorite format would have to be League, because I just love Sealed. But as far as competitive, like if I was to play ranked, my favorite format will be Expedition. I find the games are more fair. I I'm trying to say, like, there's a lot of games where you battle for the board, right? It's a lot of mid-rangey battles. It's fun. It makes you really think. In Throne, I mean, Throne's obviously fun too, but sometimes you just destroy your opponent with, and there's nothing they can really do. You know what I mean? Like, it's not so much as a stalemate in some games.
Makes total sense. Do you have a favorite deck of all time?
Yeah, I do actually. Spellcrank. It's by far my favorite deck. I try to get it to work every single season in Throne. I spend a lot of time working on that deck every season, but I had success. I made top four a few tournaments a while back, last year I think. Made the top four twice with Spellcrank, and yeah, it's definitely my favorite all time deck.
What's your favorite card in that deck?
Well, it used to be Static Bolts, but when the first round of Spellcrank came around, but yeah, Sorcery, yeah, Predator Sorcery kind of put the deck over the top again to give it that extra power boost it needed.
I'm with you. I always try to fit Static Bolt into that
Me
deck.
too. Yeah.
There's something that's just so nice about seeing those
Yeah.
numbers go up, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my team, like, I still try to fit it in there every time. My teammates are like, "Man, that card's bad." And I'm like, I don't know. I just like it like a lot.
Totally. And how much of a deck builder are you? Do you have a favorite deck that you personally built?
Well, I actually, when Spellcrank was around, I actually helped build Spellcrank when it was when the Archetype first arose.
Yeah, I know those. When there's a bunch of people playing a deck like Spellcrank
Yeah.
in the game, sometimes the discussions about who built the deck and
Yeah,
things like that can
yeah.
get a little heated. But no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you.
I'm not taking full credit, but I mean, I definitely helped.
I'm just trying to help you out here, man. Because if we put you out here and say this is the person who built Spellcrank, you know, it's definitely some people's favorite deck, but it's definitely some people's not favorite deck to see.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people hate it.
Do you have an all-time favorite card? Maybe it's not one in Spellcrank, and just a card that you just particularly love, even if it's not necessarily the best.
Well, it used to be the best in my opinion, but it had to get the nerf hammer. Crafty Occultist card when he was first released, he was absolutely broken. I mean, a 3-cast 3/3 unit, draw 2, discard 2 with all the discard effects, plus giving you an extra unit or flying. Like, yeah, that card's busted.
It still does all the same things. We just
Yeah.
you just gotta have a little more influence now.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a piece of art in the game that you're a big fan of?
My favorite looking card, I guess, was Fellrock. I don't know, something about him. He's another one of my favorite cards. He's probably up there behind Crafty. Yeah, he's.
Nice.
I think the art on him is really cool.
Karnage, I really want people to root for you at Worlds, but if you tell them your favorite cards are Fellrock, Channel of Tempest, and you look like Spellcrank, you're gonna have some fans, no doubt.
Yeah. As long as I got my team in both lethal boys, I'm okay.
All right, so let's dig into a little bit of how you managed to win this tournament. Obviously, we've talked about your run, but you know, you don't become a very successful. You mentioned you have experience in the past with other strategy card games that has leveled up your general skills. But in terms of your journey from when you started playing to Eternal to now, you've won a big tournament. You've mentioned you've done well in previous tournaments and you're going to be going to Worlds. Are there any moments that stand out to you as like, oh, I get it now, something clicked in terms of a moment where it's like, I'm going to be just so much of a better player because I figured out this thing about the game?
So learning the meta is the key part to success, in my opinion, when it comes to competitive. I mean, you gotta test all those matchups, and you know, you also gotta have good teammates to test with. That put my Eternal game over the top of where it came. I wasn't on a team for a long time, and I started my own. So I started the team in Vogue Lethal. Me and my friend Johnny Doyle. He used to stream Eternal, but he quit for reasons. Something came up, but yeah, me and him started team in Vogue Lethal together, and it was the best decision I ever made because I threw together a bunch of really crazy players.
Awesome. And if for the people at home who hear this and are interested in trying to get better, what kind of advice would you give them in terms of what it takes to start a team, or how they can go about trying to join a team or finding players to connect with? Because it sounds like you had maybe some people in mind when you joined a team, but that isn't the kind of thing that just happened overnight.
Yeah, I mean, Discord is the best thing you could ever do in the sense of the Eternal community. I mean, join some Discords, get talking. You know, there's lots of Discords where you can just drop into the general channel and just talk Eternal. And I mean, before I was on a team, I was in some of those Discord channels and just reading what people have to say about the game, discussions about each format, deck lists. Like, it just, I don't know, it just gives you more general knowledge about everything to do with Eternal. It helped like a lot. I play a lot of different games, and I'm in a lot of different gaming communities, but Eternal, that's what draws me to Eternal. It's why I still play it. I mean, it's an amazing game. I love card games, but my main reason for still playing Eternal is the community and the people I met over the course of my, I guess you could call it a career. Since I started Eternal, yeah, the community is amazing. But nobody treats anybody with disrespect. Everybody's just so helpful.
So now that you're qualified for the World Championships, what's your plan for sort of the next couple months? Are you going to take it easy, still playing the tournaments, and what's your mindset like as we head down the stretch here of the 2021 season?
We're gonna play. I'm gonna play in all the tournaments. I'm never gonna miss a tournament if I don't have to. We're gonna get another Team Invoke Lethal member into the Worlds. That's the plan. That's the target.
Oh, that's a great goal. Sounds like you'll be a great play testing partner to have in the meantime. As far as the World Championships yourself, sort of how much pressure do you think you'll be putting on yourself? Is it one of these things where you got to Worlds, you're going to try your best and you'll be happy? Or is it like, nah, I'm going to really put pressure on myself to try to take this one down and be the world champion?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be amazing to be the world champion, but I'm just proud of myself for actually making it to Worlds. Yeah, I've been playing Eternal ever since day one, and I've always wanted to make Worlds. Just to make it is cool. Like, it's awesome. But yeah, I'm not gonna be too hard on myself because the best players in the game are gonna be next to me playing. So
that makes sense. And as far as the World Championships itself, is there a player maybe in the World's field or potentially there that you at least would want to go up against, because you know you're going to be in for a really tough match if you want to win if you're playing them?
So this is my shout out to the boxer. I'm coming for you, bud.
Very nice.
Me and him go way back when it comes to Eternal. He's actually when I first started Eternal, he's helped me out a lot with deck lists and tips, and he's just, in my opinion, he's just the best player in the game. He's creative and he pilots decks amazing.
Well, it's awesome to hear all the shout outs that you gave to the teammates and the people who have helped you along the way, because it's certainly a lot easier in any of these kinds of games like Eternal to have that sort of help from more people, more perspectives. You could be a really smart person and it's just like, you could just still benefit from having other smart people help you along the way, share their advice, share their wisdom.
Definitely.
You seem like a super chill dude, if you don't mind me saying, Morgan. And I'm sure a lot of people at home appreciate that and are excited to see what you'll do in the World Championships. But before we go, though, do want to give you a couple moments if you want to throw any questions my way, whether there's something that you're curious about, what goes into making the game, something going on in the game, just anything that you can do while that I can maybe answer while I'm here, with the usual
Okay.
caveat that if you ask me to announce something, my answer will be, it's not my job to announce things in the middle of a World Championship interview.
Yeah, I don't expect that. But I would really, you guys had like a commander type event before. And like I said, I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and like Commander's one of my favorite formats. I would love to get some kind of, I mean, if it's possible, like some kind of ranked ladder, sort of thing for a commander. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if it was a question, but you sort of put it out there as like a thing that you'd like to see in the game, which is also, and maybe I should ask that more often when I do these. As far as like social formats that are less focused on maybe the competitive nature, that use maybe some kind of different deck building ask, it's definitely, I would say, when we discuss that sort of thing internally, pretty high up on the list of things that we would like to figure out the right way to bring to the game. I don't think that we've quite cracked that code yet with any of the events that we've run. But it's certainly really high up there on the list of things it's like we really want to do, because we definitely have a big appreciation for it's so nice to when you feel like, oh, there's just something I can join and queue up and play that isn't necessarily about trying to beat the tier 1 deck. And so that's certainly a good thing to bring up. And I'm glad you called that out, because even for, I played a lot of tournaments. Sounds like you played a lot of tournaments. It can be nice to just have some time to just chill and relax and play.
Yeah, it's just you can just be so creative with Commander, and it's a lot of fun.
Any more questions? Anything else you'd like to know a little bit more about in the game?
That's pretty much it for me. I think it'd be cool if I don't know if it's really a question, but like for every season that you actually hit Masters on the ladder, I think it'd be cool to get like a separate card back for that particular season if you hit Masters. I think it'd be dope.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I mean, yeah, we're always wanting to figure out better paths, better ways to make people feel rewarded for the progress that we make in the game. And whether it be something like when you hit Masters, or on the leaderboard, things like that, where we want to strike a good balance between helping people feel like they accomplish something when they reach a rank in Eternal, because the reality is that we know that when you play in Throne or Expedition or Draft, the real thing that you did and the real accomplishment is, and the real reason why it's so fun, is if the games are fun. So like, and that being able to best your opponent in that kind of a setting. And so our focus is always going to be on trying to make sure those are the most fun and exciting as possible. And then trying to match with that rewards and achievements and all sorts of things that really sort of capture that and memorialize what you've done. And so I definitely can see us continuing to explore stuff in that space.
Yeah. Your guys rewards and achievements and stuff are great. Like I can't complain about the rewards you guys give in game. I mean, it's you guys are very generous for when it comes to the rewards aspect.
Was there an achievement that you hit in the game that you were particularly proud of? I'm curious if one comes to mind when you talk about that.
Win 50 drafts, 7-0, I think was one. It's
not
pretty
bad.
Cool.
All right, Morgan. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun. It's so cool getting to see the faces and the personalities behind what we see. I mean, there's a lot of personality expressed in the games with how people play and what kinds of decks we played, but there's, as we've seen with our interviews this year, there's a lot more to it than that. So thanks so much for taking the time today. I know everyone at home appreciates it, and we're going to wrap it up here. Is there any parting message or thoughts that you want to leave people with before I throw it back to the tournament?
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. You guys do an amazing job commentating and throwing these tournaments. And I was really, really glad. For a minute, we didn't know if we were going to get another competitive season. It was a while between, for the gap waiting for the announcement. But it was amazing. It like I said, the community is amazing in Eternal, and it's awesome. I love the game.
So with that, we're going to throw it back to myself and Patrick Sullivan for the conclusion of the Draft Open. And we will be finding out, sounds like pretty shortly, who's going to be joining Karnage in the 2021 World Championships.
Daddy, how I'm supposed to drink mommy's water bottle?
You came at a good time, bud.
That was pretty great timing.
Yeah.